All right, let's just jump straight into it. Today's explainer is all about Madhav. We're looking at how this one rural farmer took a complete agricultural nightmare and flipped it into a booming, community-driven business. It's an absolutely incredible example of what to do when the market flat out rejects what you're selling.
So, how exactly does a rotting pile of cabbage change the destiny of an entire village? I know, it sounds totally exaggerated, right? But as we trace Madhav's steps in the village of Sonapur, you'll see there was no magic in the cabbage itself. It was all about a massive shift in perspective. It's about a guy who decided to actually solve a brutal problem instead of just giving up.
We've got to start with the harsh reality Madhav was facing. Picture this. He's pushing his cart through the village square, but the market is completely saturated with cheap, abundant cabbage. A local woman, Kaki, literally tells him that even if he gives it away for free, no one's taking it. People are just sick of cabbage. So Madhav is staring down a total loss of income. It's terrifying. If he can't move this crop, he can't light his stove the next day. He is quite literally on the brink of starvation.
Now, he's sitting there, totally defeated by the side of the road, when a random passing comment from his buddy Somu changes the entire game. Somu mentions this time Madhav worked in the city at a shop that took finely chopped cabbage, wrapped it in white dough, and made these things called momos. Boom. Light bulb moment. Madhav realizes he doesn't need to sell the raw material at all. He needs to sell a finished, value-added product. Right then and there, he decides to transform this boring, unwanted veggie into a highly desirable, city-style street food.
Let's break down this brilliant, oil-free recipe he cooked up in his own kitchen using just some leftover flour. He takes his best cabbage, chops it super fine, mixes in some local spices, wraps it into these little dough pouches, and then he steams them. Now, when his neighbor, Karim Chacha, smells the spices, he comes over fully expecting Madhav to fry them because, the village loves its oily fried food. But Madhav takes a major risk here. He insists on steaming them without a drop of oil, introducing a totally new, healthier cooking technique to the entire village.
So the very next morning, he sets up his cart. And yeah, at first, people are pretty skeptical. Banwari, the local sweet maker, actually thinks he's just boiling water for tea. But then, an elderly village man comes up. He has trouble chewing hard foods and asks if these momos are soft enough for him. He takes one bite and is just blown away. He says it's soft like cotton and literally melts in the mouth. Combine that with this spicy, tangy red chutney Madhav whipped up, suddenly the whole village is wide awake and lining up down the street. Get this, by noon on his very first day, the cart was completely wiped out, empty. He wasn't pushing raw cabbage anymore. He was selling a whole culinary experience. For the first time he actually held a decent amount of cash in his hands, he shed tears of joy, realizing that his hustle and, honestly, his courage to innovate had actually worked. The market had spoken, and they were absolutely obsessed with the product. But as often happens, massive success immediately brought a massive new bottleneck. As demand went through the roof over the next few days, Madhav hit a wall. He only had this tiny steaming vessel, which meant he could only pump out 10 to 12 momos at a time. And he's doing everything manually, chopping, kneading, wrapping, steaming. His hands are cramping up, and worse, his customers are waiting in these crazy long lines. He was terrified that if he didn't speed things up, people would just get bored and walk away, and his new business would tank. Which brings us to a really pivotal moment. His neighbor, Karim Chacha, sees how exhausted and stressed Madhav is and gives him this incredible piece of advice. He says, "Hard work never sinks, son. Now think of yourself as a big businessman." Instead of letting Madhav fall back into that mindset of a struggling farmer, Karim pushes him to scale. He tells him to head to the city, buy bigger equipment, maybe even hire some help. It's an absolutely crucial mental shift from pure survival mode to growth mode. Taking that advice totally to heart, Madhav makes a super brave move. He hits pause. He actually closes up shop for a day to travel to the big city market. And he's not going there looking for a job like he used to. He is walking in as a business owner, ready to reinvest those hard-earned early profits into better equipment so he can smash that supply bottleneck. While in the city, he buys this massive 3-tier steel steamer. Suddenly, his capacity jumps from 10 to 50 momos at the exact same time. By making this capital investment, he completely wipes out those customer wait times that were threatening to ruin him. When he hauls this thing back to the village, it's gleaming in the sun, and the locals actually start jokingly calling it a rocket. But he doesn't stop there. He also smartly picks up a vegetable chopping machine.
Remember how his hands were absolutely giving out from dicing all that cabbage? Well, this machine instantly halves his manual labor. But check out his commitment to the craft. He makes sure to tell the villagers that the machine is only there for the prep work. The actual shaping and wrapping of the momos, that's still done entirely by hand, so that beautiful artisanal feel of the product stays completely intact. Now, Madhav also manages to dodge a really common business trap, sacrificing quality just to get scale. Usually, when businesses grow fast and bring in machinery, the product suffers, right? Madhav actively prevents that. Instead, he elevates his recipe. He adds a secret ingredient to his famous spicy chutney, fresh mint, picked straight from his own fields that very morning. So he's actually scaling up his volume while simultaneously making the quality even better. The stakes get even higher shortly after that. The village patwari, the local record keeper, stops by, tastes the momos, and is just floored by the fresh mint chutney. He loves it so much, he drops this massive opportunity on Madhav's lap. High-ranking district authorities, the Tehsil officials, are visiting Sonapur next week, and he wants Madhav to cater for them. Talk about pressure, right? This is the ultimate test of whether his village street food can actually impress a high-level, sophisticated crowd. Well, Madhav passes this test with absolute flying colors. He stays up all night scrubbing his cart and picking the absolute best, freshest cabbage from his field. When the officials finally taste the food, they are totally blown away by the complete lack of artificial spices and his incredibly strict hygiene, which is something they almost never see in a rural pushcart setup. His laser focus on pure, farm-fresh ingredients secures a massive, massive win. Just take a step back and look at how incredibly fast this whole thing builds. Week 1, he's got nothing but a pushcart of raw, unwanted cabbage. Week 2, he's testing out his Momo concept with a tiny makeshift steamer. By month 1, he's reinvested his cash into a massive steel steamer to handle the crazy volume. And that naturally leads to the peak of his early success, making the jump from a temporary street stall to a fully legit, permanent business. Armed with that huge endorsement from the government officials and his steadily growing profits, Madhav hits a major milestone. He ditches the pushcart entirely. He rents a permanent brick-and-mortar shop right at the main crossroads of the village. He paints these beautiful farm scenes on the walls and names it Madhav Ka Desi Zaika, meaning Madhav's local flavor. He's no longer just a vendor. He has literally become a respected local institution. You know, those officials actually practically begged him to move the business to the big city. They promised him a much larger market, way more money, the whole shebang. But Madhav says no to the bright lights and the bigger markets. He consciously chooses to stay right there, rooted in his village, providing high-quality, innovative food to his own people. He wanted to bring value, comfort, and real pride to his rural community. And man, that community focus pays off in a big way. His success literally starts uplifting the entire village. Demand gets so crazy that people from 10 neighboring villages start traveling over to Sonapur just to eat at his shop. To keep up, Madhav hires 2 unemployed local youths. He personally trains them in his hygiene standards and his recipes. So now he isn't just feeding his community, he is actively creating jobs and seriously boosting the local microeconomy. So, to quickly sum this up, in just a matter of months, Madhav built a highly sustainable enterprise based on just a few rock-solid pillars. Farm-fresh ingredients, zero compromises on hygiene, a healthy, oil-free cooking technique in a market that was used to heavy foods, and a fierce, fierce loyalty to his local community. Oh, and most importantly, he never ever stopped innovating his product or reinvesting in his business. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Madhav looked at a rotting pile of vegetables that literally everyone told him was totally worthless, and through sheer creativity, he unlocked its hidden value. So take a look around at your own seemingly worthless resources, your stalled projects, or those skills you might be overlooking. Ask yourself, what is the ordinary cabbage in your life right now, and how could a little innovation and a fresh perspective change absolutely everything? Thanks so much for exploring this incredible journey with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.